on Plastic Free by the Sea. Let me thank all of the other volunteers who've made the Dockside chat a reality. Katie Tomberlin, chair of the Carteret County Democratic Party, Maria Zempo, Amy Voorhees, Lucy Bond, and Wendy Boss. And props to all of the Democrats who made the Oktoberfest and reverse drawing a delicious success. Thank you so much to all of you. During the presentation, all participants will be muted. We will unmute you for 2 minutes at the end of the chat to say goodbyes. If you have questions or comments, please type them into the chat box and Wendy Boss will sort and collate them for us at the end of the program. I'm sure that there is no one among us who is not concerned about the role that plastic is playing in our lives and in our environment. Tonight, we will hear about a group in Beaufort, Plastic Free by the Sea, that is trying to make a difference. I'm very happy to introduce our guest, Caprice Pratt, who is the spokesperson for the group. Caprice has been a self-employed landscaper and businesswoman for 17 years. Her interest in living plastic-free has become a personal crusade. And I will let her tell us about the history of her mission and the group Plastic Free by the Sea. Welcome, Caprice.
Thank you, Sue. Well, the group started out as a subgroup of the Sierra Club. Mm-hmm. We would meet at the Sierra Club and it kept coming up, and Penny Hooper, who is a big part of the Sierra Club, asked if we wanted to have a subgroup, and that's how this started. And we got started pretty strong, but then COVID hit and it was kind of hard to keep this going, especially when people needed to use, masks and gloves and things to be more safe with COVID. Now that, vaccines are out, we're starting to build a little more momentum. So that's great. And then the co-chairs are Suzanne Wheatcraft and Harriet Altman. Harriet might join us a little bit late. She had another event she wanted to go to this evening, so she might join us a little bit late. And this presentation, part of the group is we would like to eventually have not a ban on plastic bags, but maybe, because that doesn't really work, but we're trying to work towards a goal of having just local businesses use less plastic bags. And part of that is educating people that may not know a lot about it. So that's kind of where we're at right now in this presentation. So a lot of you may know some of this. So this is meant to, it's a generalized information about plastics and the usage and what we can do to chip in to reduce our usage.
Very good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the status of your group at the moment? Are you working on projects? Are you still going out and collecting?
Well, right now we are mostly trying to, actually Suzanne I see is on, and she maybe might want to chime in a little bit on that if she heard that question. So we had a meeting about a week ago, and one of our members actually spoke to the Beaufort Town Commissioners. He gave a presentation to them about plastics and how we would love to work with them to try to reduce plastic usage in Beaufort. And Suzanne, can you hear me? Maybe not. I see her there. But that is our main focus right now is on Beaufort, because we feel like it is a community that is, because it's such a big problem that we want to try to focus more on a locally significant spot instead of making it such a, a huge thing because you can get overwhelmed with trying to do it. So Beaufort is our main focus as of right now.
Very good. Would you like to begin your PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Let me see if this works. Okay, can everyone see that?
Mhm.
Okay, great. There we go. Plastic isn't something most people think about, let alone be concerned by it. In fact, our lives are so inundated with it, we may not even notice how much we use and throw away. I bet if we all stop for just a moment to think about the plastic we use just today, we would be surprised. However, since plastic is overwhelming the planet, we all need to chip in to slow down this process. Each year, at least 17.6 billion tons of plastic leak into the ocean, which is equivalent to dumping the contents of one garbage truck into the ocean every minute. If no action is taken, this is expected to increase to 2 per minute by 2030 and 4 per minute by 2050. Now, being out on one of our beautiful beaches here in Carteret County and seeing a dump truck back up to our ocean to dump all the contents into it, we would freak out. But because it doesn't happen that way, and it just gradually winds up in the ocean, we tend to not think about it. Now, how did we get here? Plastic was first made from a material called celluloid, which was made of cellulose, the polymer found in all plants. Plastics, as we know it, didn't come along until the early part of the 20th century. Once they began to be made from the same stuff that was giving us abundant, cheap energy, petroleum. Oil companies had waste gases like ethylene coming out of the stacks of the refineries. Chemists discovered they could use those gases as building blocks to create all sorts of novel polymers, instead of working only with polymers that already existed in nature. A world of possibilities opened up. Anything and everything could be made of plastic. And so it was, because plastics are cheap. It wasn't until the mid-1950s that single-use plastics became part of our lives. We can thank Lloyd Stouffer for creating this global monster. In the 50s, he argued that the future of plastics is in the trash can. We have to stop thinking about reuse packages and concentrate on single use. If the plastics industry wants to drive sales, it must teach customers how to waste. We've clearly learned Stouffer's lesson. Now we must unlearn it. All of this plastic has enormous potential to harm the environment, wildlife, and humans. It travels throughout the world's rivers and oceans, accumulating on beaches, found floating at the surface, suspended in the water column, or on the bottom of almost all bodies of water. This debris harms physical habitats, transports chemical pollutants, threatens aquatic life, and interferes with human uses of river, marine, and coastal environments. Plastic is often eaten by birds and fish, concentrating toxic chemicals in their tissues and filling their stomachs, causing them to slowly starve to death. Scientists have also discovered that we are consuming plastic in the form of microplastics. Plastic that is 0.5 millimeters across or considerably less, usually invisible to the naked eye. It's been found in fresh fish, shellfish, canned fish, sea salt, chicken gizzards, honey, beer, and bottled water. I want to focus a little more on microplastics since it really impacts our local fisheries. Many animals that live in the shallows of our estuaries are filter feeders, like worms, clams, and oysters, and form the bottom of the food chain. They eat microplastic plants and animals and consume plastic as it breaks down into tiny microscopic pieces. As larger animals eat the smaller animals, the microplastics are accumulated up the food chain in even greater quantities and cannot be removed by the animals because they're not part of the natural food cycle. They simply bioaccumulate. The humans who eat the seafood and drink fresh water contaminated with microplastics will also accumulate the plastic. The estimate is that we humans could be accumulating as much as a credit card sized piece of plastic per week. There's a formation in the Pacific Ocean called the Garbage Patch Gyre, which is a region where the ocean currents carry in and deposit floating plastic trash. This area has grown to 3 times the size of France and just swirls in the ocean, gradually breaking down into microplastic-sized pieces. The scientific estimate is that by 2050, there will be more pounds of plastic in the ocean than there are pounds of fish. Now, what can we do to help? Recycling used to be thought of as a solution. However, only about 20% of plastic gets recycled. Recycling centers just can't keep up with the sheer volume of waste. I'm in no way suggesting not to recycle, but a more important action needs to be done: reducing and refusing the use of single-use plastics. So as this slide shows, these are lots of great things that we can do. Rethink your choices. When you're at the grocery store and you want to buy pickles, don't get a thing of pickles in a plastic jar, get one in a glass jar. Refuse single-use plastics. That's a big one. And it's very easy to do. Reduce your consumption. That is my personal crusade. Over the last few years, I think I've reduced my consumption about 90%. Reuse everything is what we used to do before the single-use plastics came into play. Refurbish old stuff. Lisa Ryder, who is very involved in this, she is constantly doing that, and it's amazing to see what she refurbishes. Repair before you replace. Instead of throwing it out and buying a new one, try to repair it first. Repurpose and be creative, reinvent. That is really fun. I've done a lot of that in my yard. And then as a last option, recycle. I have some other suggestions here besides those things. Number one, I think we probably all know this, but it's good to hear it again because I feel like a lot of people may not be in the habit of it. And the number one thing we can do is bring a reusable bag to the grocery store, any store. Keep a few in your car, and after a while it becomes habit, and you can cut down on that plastic bag waste tremendously. Another easy one, stop buying plastic bottles of water. I know it sounds simple, but a lot of people still do it. You can buy a reusable water bottle and will save money over time and reduce plastic waste. Consider buying solid toiletries. Now, I have some examples here. Here, this is my favorite recent find. It is deodorant and it is plastic free. Amazing. Okay, here's another mascara and eyeliner that's plastic free. It's a little tin can. Chapstick that's in a little, so this may be nostalgic for some people. I found it recently online. It's a little sliding metal case with chapstick. I think a lot of people don't even think about the plastic tube that you have in a chapstick. And there are some companies that have a cardboard tube, which I also have. The rest of that I'll get to in a minute. Another thing on the toiletries, a bamboo toothbrush, which I have. I didn't want to bring out my used toothbrush to show you guys. And toothpaste that comes in little tablets. These are all options. And I'm not expecting everyone to go out and do all of these things all at once because it can be overwhelming. I started out small and then you can eventually add things on to your list. The first thing I did was shampoo and conditioner. You know, you go out and buy a bottle of shampoo and conditioner and it's a huge plastic bottle. But now there's options of having a bar of shampoo and a bar of conditioner, and they're amazing. Another thing you can do is don't use those plastic bags for the produce at the grocery store. All those veggies have already been touched by many hands. It's gross, I know, but a plastic bag isn't going to protect them. And you can also now buy produce bags that you can reuse. And we all know this from the turtle video, say no to disposable straws. That's an easy one. Invest in reusable utensils and containers. I actually keep a little bag in my car with reusable utensils and a plate and a cup, just in case I'm somewhere where I might need it. Try a bamboo toothbrush, like I said earlier. DIY cleaning products. So one of my biggest things that I like to use is vinegar, and I get vinegar in a glass jar, and baking soda. Use less plastic wrap. I know that's a go-to for a lot of people. It's easy and it does a really great job, but it's horrible. You can't recycle it, it's hard to reuse it. Instead, try using glass or stainless steel containers with silicone lids or beeswax wrap, which is very great. Avoid products with micro beads. Those are horrible. And last but not least, share your opinions. When a company or small business is taking steps to plastic usage or otherwise reduce their impact on the environment, commend them for it. Support them by buying their products, email them, tell your friends about them. On the other hand, if a company has a product you love that comes wrapped in unnecessary plastic, contact them to see if there's a way to reduce this. As consumers, we have a lot of power, and over time, companies will hear our collective voice. And this is absolutely true. Compared to, I say 4 years ago, it was really hard to find plastic-free products. And just in the last 4 years, there is now a ton of different options. So companies will listen if we keep telling them we want plastic-free items. Now, if anyone has any questions or comments, please let me know.
Thank you, Caprice. Thank you very much.
One last thing I forgot. I do have another slide, and it's some companies that offer really great products.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I knew there was something else. So the first company, they have a ton of different options, but over the years, I've tried many products, and I wanted to show you a few. This toilet paper It's also a great name. It's called Who Gives a Crap? And this is bamboo, which is also better for the environment than regular toilet paper. It comes in a box. The box is recycled cardboard. It's wrapped in recycled paper, and the tube is made from recycled cardboard. And it's really great. And you can order a big box of it, and it'll last me like 6 months, the big box. And they also have tissues, the same company, and paper towels. So it's a very great company if you all want to reduce your plastic waste. And then my next favorite thing is these laundry sheets. Instead of buying that big jug of laundry soap, or even sometimes even those boxes have, you can't recycle those boxes because it's got that lining on the inside. But this company called Sheets, I have it there on the screen, and it comes in a zero plastic container, and it's literally just like this little sheet. They work amazing, and as Sue said, I'm a landscaper, gardener, and I really sell at the end of the day, and these work. But they also have product where if you do want your clothes to smell a little bit better, you can add it to the laundry, but it's in a cardboard container. And this is the fabric softener that you put in the dryer. It's a great company. So there are lots of options. Another thing I wanted to mention, a lot of people don't think about are your razors. So for anybody that doesn't want to keep buying plastic razors, I have this great metal razor, and all you have to do is swap out the blades. And this company I buy this from, you can send it back and they recycle the blades also. So there's lots of little things that we don't think about that are available now to reduce your usage. Okay.
Wow.
There, I'm finished.
Bravo. Bravo. Well done. Very nice. Thank you so much. Wendy, have you been collating questions?
Yes, we have quite a few, and
Okay.
some suggestions as well.
Oh, great.
So Caprice, Sue asked early on, can we make the producers responsible, plastic producers?
Yes, but that's part of the consumers contacting these companies and or supporting politicians who will hold them responsible. Like we have to be involved in that. They're not going to do it on their own.
Exactly.
And several people mentioned will local grocers stop using plastic bags? And I think Yolanda said in Durham they're charging 10 cents a bag. What's the status on that for the grocery stores?
We haven't started on that yet, but it's on our list. Like I said at the beginning, we got out the gate really strong, and COVID kind of knocked us back a little bit. But that is on our list to try to work with them on reducing that. And I know it can be done because there are stores that do it. Lidl, you either have to buy a bag or bring your own bag. So it is possible, and that is on our list to work on.
Yeah.
So Wendy and Caprice, can you guys hear me? This is Suzanne Wheatcraft.
Yes.
Great. So funny that Durham should come up because Harriet and I, part of Plastic Free by the Sea, met with the folks on the phone today from Durham and from Duke. And we are talking about the model that they used and how that might transfer to the town of Beaufort for starters. And as part of that conversation, one of the things that we're looking at is the involvement of businesses and of the government. So it's definitely something that we are doing, and they also have an interesting angle on it in Durham for economic justice, to not burden poor people with this. They're talking about ways that you would not charge everyone the 10 cents.
Mm.
And I think that's an important angle to this, is to not put something like this out of the reach of people who can't afford it.
Right.
So it is,
That's great.
it is being done, and we're looking to model after it.
Suzanne, I just want to add to, I mean, that's amazing, but even at stores like Aldi, they put out free boxes for people. They have containers with boxes, and if you don't want to buy a bag, you can grab one of those free boxes and put your groceries back in it.
Yes, exactly. And
yeah, so there are options for people. It's amazing. It's really cool.
And just a quickie on the options. I
Yeah.
have a West Coast version of Caprice friend, and she told me 6 months ago that if you tell Amazon you don't want plastic packaging, they will not send your stuff with plastic packaging. And a lot of people don't know that. And there's a lot of Amazon boxes on porches in this world. So
No,
there's a
true.
quick and easy thing that everybody can do.
That's great. Someone mentioned that in Maine, the extended producer responsibility. I don't know if that,
That's actually me. I
okay. Sue.
mentioned that. It's very interesting that I heard about this once and then not another peep. I believe the lobbyists have really gotten busy quite hushing this story up, but the great state of Maine has actually passed a law. This is not just a bill coming up, it has been passed, and it is called Extended Producer Responsibility. And it makes the packager, the company that does the packaging, responsible to pay the state for a fee for getting rid of the plastic. They have to pay, and I'm not sure exactly what they pay, but for each ton of plastic, they have to pay the state of Maine, that will then disperse the money to the towns and cities to defray the cost of recycling. And this is a very interesting thing. I haven't had a lot of time to really think about it, but you know, it is a way to discourage the purveyors of the things we buy from packaging them in plastic. You know, we may not be able to make much of a dent in the plastic industry itself down in Texas, isn't it? But if we can encourage the purveyors to use paper and cardboard instead of plastic, that's a wonderful thing. So yeah, this is really pretty exciting, and it's actually happening. And you know, old-fashioned Maine, you can't get there from here, but they managed to come up with this wonderful bill. So
Well,
it's pretty
yeah, it's actually, I mean, we have some extended producer responsibility in the state of North Carolina. It's in the way of an advanced disposal fee on your tires and appliances, but we haven't in the state of North Carolina been able to pass a bottle bill like you see in Maine and other places that are also a form of extended producer responsibility, mainly because of the bottling company that's here in the state tends to lobby against that type of thing. I think it's gone to try to pass in our legislature maybe 5 times in my career in solid waste and never a go. So it just needs more support for something like that. But extended producer responsibility is definitely what is, you know, in a lot of other countries would refer to as a best management practice for reducing plastic waste.
You know, it's interesting that I did not know about this in North Carolina. And again, you know, we should all know about it. I think just knowing about that with the automobile tires, for example, would make us more aware of the problem. But keeping it quiet, you know, we don't think about it. We just buy the tire and put it on the car and don't think about that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sue, because there are a lot of illegal tire dumps in the state of North Carolina. And if people only knew that they've already paid to dispose of them on the front end, I think that knowledge would go a long way.
So let me just break in here. Several people have suggested places where you can get non-plastic purchases such as laundry detergent, etc. And Jay suggested the blueland.com. So if you check the chat box, you'll see those in Grove Collaborative. So those might be good places to check out in terms of finding sources that don't use plastic wrappings,
For
etc.
myself, I've started using, who would ever think of such a thing? Tide comes in a cardboard box. And so I've started buying it in the cardboard box. And, it made me really sad when I thought, gosh, why did we suddenly think we had to have this as a liquid? Who told us that? It was perfectly fine to use it as a powder in a cardboard box.
Right, but again, that box is lined with a film, so you can't recycle that box. It is better, but still, so the stuff that I get, it's all 100% recyclable and made from recycled plastic. So maybe down the road, try it. It's amazing. And I've been using it for a while. Like I said, I've tried several things. I've tried Blue Land and it's not bad, but again, I'm very stinky at the end of the day, and this stuff is amazing. Yeah.
Good. Are there other questions and comments, Wendy?
Yeah, Leela, do you want to say something? You're muted.
You're muted, LaFay.
Oh, you're still muted.
You're muted.
I just figured out how to unmute.
Okay.
I sent a question. I just want to make sure because I am technologically challenged. I couldn't move the faces away so I could see all the printed information so I could print it off. If I could have a list of those things, I would really like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Two other things. One is that I grew up on Duke's mayonnaise. I grew up in the South. It was always in glass bottles when I grew up.
Yeah, it's in plastic now.
There is no glass bottle for any mayonnaise. There is just
there is, but it's not the good kind.
okay, so I'm going to take Duke on. But the other problem, it's not a problem. I heard today that the I don't know what committee or which of the president's committees is doing this, but they are recommending a tax on anyone that uses these chemicals in making certain things. And it seems like to me that is a step toward, because these are chemicals. This microplastic are made of, and they listed all the chemicals, but I wasn't smart enough to know if this was going to be germane to all the microplastics, but my hunch is it is. And that is at least a step. It's a major tax to I guess, dissuade people from using it. That's it. That was just in the news today. And I thought, oh, I hadn't heard that before. And maybe you know a lot more about it than I do, but that's at least hopeful. I think it needs to be at that kind of level for people to take.
That's probably the PFAS from our wonderful former EPA or current EPA head that was former and North Carolina head. Anyway, so someone asked if we could donate reusable bags to stores like Walmart. I don't know if you could, I don't know how far that would go.
I don't either.
I think
I'm
that
not sure they can use
Suzanne.
them legally.
This is Suzanne. Don't Waste Durham is a really good resource. They're a nonprofit group who are a little further down this road than us here in Carteret County, and they have looked at that issue. So they're a really good local resource to go to with these kind of questions, because they're looking at, if they do this bag fee, then what if there aren't enough reusable bags? So by going to them, you can find out other options for reusable bags.
They haven't come up with anything, Suzanne?
Yes, they have come up with, they're making bags, and they've got inexpensive sources of bags. So yeah, that's what I'm suggesting to everyone is if you're wondering about, can you give reusable bags to a store? Don't Waste Durham would have answers to those kind of questions.
Thank you.
Great. I mean, what happens to the bags that we recycle? I bring bags back to Food Lion, for example. they don't just reuse them, right? They have to.
I can answer that. So if it's done properly, if the materials are clean and dry, and if the store manager is participating in the program correctly, it goes to their, for lack of a better way to describe it, where their trucks are going back to get more food to bring back to the store. Their distribution center is what I'm thinking of. They take them there, they palletize them, and they get sold to a company called Trex, which is, if you've ever bought a piece of composite lumber, that's likely the company you bought it from if you're on the eastern part of the US.
Okay.
But it has to be clean, it has to be dry. It can't be contaminated with any other material. So if the bucket is contaminated, if the collection station is contaminated, they're likely landfilling it.
Yeah. About a year or more ago, I heard that some no plastic bag programs were failing because people wanted the plastic bags. And so they were buying their own rolls of kitchen bags and leaf bags and huge garbage bags to use. And I was talking with my grandson about that. I have 6 grandchildren who live in Germany, and as you probably know, Germany is just way ahead of the curve on ecological everything. And when I told him that story, he just laughed out loud, and he said his mother has been using the same cloth bag to bring her groceries home from the grocery store for 20 years. You know, and it's really sad. I mean, we could be doing that, you know, we could just be using cloth bags. Yeah.
Well, I kept a friend's dog not long ago, and she brought me all this plastic to pick up the poop. Well, I don't have a dog, but I know, because I went to the city, and I know that I can, if my poop can go down the toilet, so can a dog's poop go down the toilet.
Yes, that's right.
I picked it up.
That's right.
With whatever.
So Lisa, can you explain Trex a little more? Someone wanted to understand what was Trex.
It's a composite lumber company. So it's plastic lumber, decking material. That's what they're making out of these recycled plastic bags.
Yeah, it's in Lowe's if you want to go take a look.
Yeah, any of the plastic bags being collected on the eastern part of the country are ending up at Trex.
Interesting. Well, it's 8:13. Does anyone have a burning desire to share or to ask a question?
I do. This is Suzanne again. My burning desire is to talk to everyone as the holiday season approaches about conscious consumerism. We're hearing in the news about all the ships that are offshore, and we're not going to get these goods. And people are beginning to say, buy local, which is great. It's certainly what we want to do, is protect and not protect, but to support our local business people. But I would add to that, be aware of what you are buying. In light of what you've learned tonight, use your buying power locally to tell people that you're supporting things that are not made of plastic. I really do believe that our voice matters, and individually and collectively, we can bring about these changes.
I want to add one quick thing. Harriet reminded me to bring this up about the ocean friendly establishment program that the water keepers are a part of. If maybe Lisa or Suzanne wants to comment on that.
Sure. I think we're both going to start talking at the same time. Yeah, so the Ocean Friendly Establishments is a North Carolina-based certification program for restaurants and other businesses at the coast. It's much like the North Carolina Green Travel certification, but it's more specific to coastal environmental needs and information about marine debris. So in the Carteret County area, Coastal Carolina River Watch partnered with Plastic Free by the Sea, distributes the ocean-friendly establishment certifications and makes sure they go through the process correctly. We do have a form online for businesses to use to go through that certification process. And if folks are in the town of Beaufort, they can go through Plastic Free by the Sea, or if they're in any other area of Carteret or Onslow County, they can go through Coastal Carolina River Watch.
Excellent.
One of
Thank
their
you
little-
so much.
Yeah.
Wendy, the great thing about it being online is you can go and get a list of businesses and you can tell them, I'm here because I know you're an ocean-friendly establishment.
Yeah, that's great. The positive feedback is fantastic. And someone, Carol Newsom said, I'd like to see more hemp used as a building material as well. And there are cornstarch bags. I don't know how well they disintegrate, but Barb said they disintegrate in 30 days. Some of those composting bags and whatnot take a lot of heat, but
Yeah, you need a commercial composting for some of that stuff.
anyway.
A lot of the products that we're talking about tonight, you know, shampoo in a bar and so on, those would make great Christmas presents too.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
And they
would
even
start
have-
people using it. Yep.
Yeah, and they even have bar lotion, and I use that too. And you can go into my bathroom right now and find zero plastic, anything in there. It's possible. It's there's so many more products now that you can get that are plastic free.
Great, great.
That's great. Well, we have a good group tonight. Let's all do it.
Yes, let's go do it. And I think that's a wonderful moment to end on. Caprice, thank you so much for joining us and
Thank
helping
you.
us to think and talk about this topic. It's incredibly uplifting to hear what you're doing and to hear about other organizations in town, and that good people are working their way towards a better planet and towards helping the environment. So thank you very much to Caprice and to everyone else for being here. We will resume our Dockside chats in February. We're going to give you an opportunity to exhaust yourself in the holidays and recuperate, and then we'll start again. Good night to everyone.
Thank you.
Stay strong, keep the faith, and we'll see you in February. Good night.
Thank you, Sue.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.